Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags of Metal Reviews, and today we're celebrating 30 years of Symbolic by Death. So we've never had the chance to cover Death on the channel until we decided to do an anniversary series. And when we were looking at all our albums of possible contenders, there was a couple of Death albums that were up for contention, and we chose Death Symbolic to cover. Now, I know when I look at people talk about this band, which is, this band's always a hot topic in the metal community, for good reason. I don't normally see people ranking Symbolic that high. I'd be one of those people. Symbolic's an album that I have not given much listens to over the years. And I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to do it, because it's more of an unexplored territory, at least for me, and I think for you as well. With that said, I was eager to really take a deep dive into this, because I've listened to all the Death albums. I'm fairly familiar with the stuff, but I've never really soaked it in. I've never really grinded any Death albums, except for maybe Sound of Perseverance, which I know is a little bit controversial. A lot of people think it's because it's the last album in their career, kind of started changing things. That's one thing aside. Anyways, wasn't really sure what to exactly expect on this, because this is the sixth album. This is the second last album of their career, so it's later on in their stuff. They had already done 5 other albums before this. Their sound has changed over the years. Okay, they don't have the same kind of aggressive rawness that they did on their earlier albums. This album is a lot more refined. It's a lot more technical. There's a lot more melody on here. There's a lot more of a progressive approach on here, which I think is going to appeal to a lot of people, but also maybe turn a lot of people off. I think that might be part of the reason why I don't see this album mentioned a lot of the time. People are talking about their favorite Death albums. With all that said, I think this album is pretty good. It's got, it's one of those albums that just has good performances by everybody. I mean, Chuck, legendary songwriter, legendary vocalist, legendary guitar player, he is hitting all the right marks on here. His vocals are a little bit on the higher side, a little bit more on the, a little bit less of the growl is present on this than you would hear in previous records. His guitar playing, I feel like, is pretty standard for this band. There's a lot of riffs and guitar passages and just kind of motifs, ideas, whatever you want to call them, that I feel like are regurgitated from other albums or things like that, where I feel like, once you heard one, you kind of heard them all. Maybe not, I'm not sure, because I can't pinpoint exact references. I think that's a downfall of my own, inability to explain what I'm saying, but I feel like there's a lot of this album where I'm listening to and I'm going, I feel like I've heard this on another album before. I feel like I've heard this, and I had that recurring thought listening to this album. And, that is what it is. You got Gene Hoglan, the Atomic Clock on the drums. He, to me, is one of the best drummers. He's always going to hit the mark. He does a lot of really cool things. And just to start talking about some of the songs, there's a few songs that I really liked on this album. One of those songs is Crystal Mountain, track 7, where I really like the intro on the song, and I really like where it goes into this sequence where there's this really cool riff, and Gene is doing a whole bunch of cymbal work, and the guitars are kind of spaced out, and it's kind of kind of more of a broken down section, but Gene's just going kind of crazy on the cymbals, doing some cool things. The guitars go into some cool arpeggiated sections, which I thought was really nice. Some really good transitions. This album has really good transitions overall. Just some of the best I've heard, because there's a lot of stuff happening. It bounces between different things a lot, but it never sounds broken. It always sounds very cohesive and very smooth and very transitionally just on point. But yeah, Crystal Mountain I thought was a really good song. I like how it revisits that kind of spaced out section with the cymbal work again later on in the song. Just really cool stuff there. Another song that I really liked was 1,000 Eyes, track number 5. This one really grew on me. Actually, it didn't really have to grow on me. I liked it from the beginning, but I really love the double bass in the song. It kind of feels like it's kind of like thundering through the whole song, but it really doesn't. There's a lot of space for it to breathe. They kind of break up the sequences of the beats. It's just, I like the ending, how the double bass and the scream kind of fade out this song. Just great riffs in the song. Thousand Eyes is definitely a highlight. The third highlight for me, there's 3 songs that I really like. So the first 2 I mentioned, Empty Words. I'm kind of going backwards. I went from track 7 to 5, now to track 3. Empty Words is one that did grow on me because at first I kind of felt like it was just a typical death song. It's just whatever. Then I started kind of dissecting it, and I realized that the song is comprised of many different sections, and each section is like really good. I'm like, holy crap, that was really awesome. And the next section would happen, I'll go, holy crap, this is kind of growing on me a bit. And each section kind of just brought something interesting to the table. Now I kind of felt like for this song and for some other songs too, and this is where my downfall started coming into play, a little bit too long. And this is where the kind of the progressive nature of this band started kind of maybe taking a turn for the worse for a lot of people. And I feel like it was a bit of a falter on this as well, where a lot of the songs felt like they kind of overstayed their welcome, where they didn't really have to switch to another part and go back to this and do this again and do that again. There's a lot of points in certain songs where it felt like they could have ended it nice and cleanly at a certain part and chopped off like a minute and a half of runtime. Now, sometimes people like it when bands go above and beyond and go further and stuff like that. I don't mind it a lot of the time, but here it just, like I said, it felt like some of the songs were overstaying their welcome. Other than those songs, I think the few of the other songs are pretty good, and there's a few songs that kind of feel like duds, like they didn't really need to be there. They didn't really offer too much to the overall presentation of the album. But as a whole album, I still thought it was pretty good. It's enjoyable. There's good just stuff throughout. It's an enjoyable death metal album.
It's interesting that you said that you didn't really see many people rank this album very high, because I did a bit of research just to see where does this rank, among people looking up tier lists or whatever. A lot of people have this at the top.
Wow, really?
Top or like top 3. I see this, a few people have it low, but like more often than not, this one was up there.
Okay.
Among the higher ranking death albums. I never really checked out this band very much. Like, that's just straight up, that's the truth. So before people started going to the comments, what the, you never listen to death? This is a very unique and interesting situation, okay? I've listened to tons of metal, haven't really checked out this much. So in 2025, we have me checking this band out in depth for the first time.
So what have you heard from this band before?
I listened to a little bit of The Sound of Perseverance about like 8-ish, 9-ish years ago or so.
So you haven't heard anything from like Leprosy or Scream Bloody Gore?
None of that.
Oh, wow, okay.
None of that. So I heard a little bit of The Sound of Perseverance, and it was on, a friend's recommendation. And, I'm into a lot of prog stuff, so it's like, it's right up your alley. And it didn't really I didn't really sink my teeth into it much. It didn't really pop for me at the time. Obviously, I'd have to listen to it again and really sink my teeth into it. So it's interesting that we're doing this one. And, from my first listen to this album, something like clicked instantly, and that was like, oh, yeah, I could see how influential this band was. Like, because I know, I've heard so many people, so many players be like, yeah, Death is one of the biggest inspirations, or so many guitar players like, yeah, Chuck was a huge inspiration. So listening to this band and be like, oh yeah, I can hear it. I can hear so many bands that came after this band in this album. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this sounds just like that. That's where he got it. I think Gojira is a really big example. There's a lot of Gojira stuff that definitely pulls from here. I'm pretty sure Joe, like, this band is one of his biggest influences.
Probably, yeah.
And you can absolutely hear that in the vocals and the guitar playing and some of these riffs, like, and that's just one of many.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things that really stuck out to me is like, wow, just from my very first listen, I could instantly tell this is a massively influential band on so many people.
Of course.
And that's awesome. It feels like the album is a mix of what kind of 90s metal was, but with a bunch of other stuff. Because metal in the 90s was in a really weird place because there was a bit of a transition going on.
Yeah.
Because it's like these 80s bands are kind of either changing entirely or just kind of not really doing anything anymore. Like the kind of hair metal and some of the thrashier stuff was kind of dying down in terms of their popularity.
Yeah,
So
you had other genres that were kind of starting to bloom.
exactly. Nu metal was one of the biggest ones that was developing throughout the 90s, then exploded at the end. So this, I feel like bands like this and bands like Pantera were the ones kind of still sticking with a more old school thing, but still revolutionizing, in Pantera's case, a lot of the groove related stuff. But this band, at least based on this album from what I've heard, has everything. There's thrashy stuff, there's proggy stuff, noodly stuff, chill stuff. It's like this bridge between the 80s and the 90s for metal music and beyond, to be honest. I feel like any metalhead, anyone who likes, heavy metal music is gonna find something they enjoy in this album. There's gonna be something in here you'll like. Like, it's got something for everyone.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, though, like a lot of those different elements all kind of mashed together, that turns a lot of people off, I think, because it doesn't sound, in some people's ways, it doesn't sound cohesive. To me, it sounds cohesive, and I thought that was a testament to the writing and the performance of this band. The fact that you can have all those different things and just kind of make it sound like it all works together, I think that's really cool, and I think that's a strong attribute to have as a band on an album.
And it's interesting how they do it, because there are some songs where they do a section, it just kind of ends, and then the next one just starts. It's not like there's this transition between them. It's just like, okay, this is done, next.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, wow, it works. How the heck did they make it work like that? But they did. And I think a big part of it is just how great the performances are on this record. Everyone sounds great. And it's funny, because at first I didn't realize it was Gene Hoglan. So I'm like, man, this drummer is killer. Then I looked it up, I'm like, oh, that's why.
That's why. Exactly.
It's Gene Hoglan.
Yeah.
So you mentioned stuff about cymbals. I think on, what was it, 1,000 Eyes? No. What was it, Crystal Mountain? You mentioned he was doing this cool groove with cymbals.
Yep.
He does a lot of that stuff with his ride cymbals. He's got two, one on each side. And that happens throughout the album. I love it every single time. I love when drummers do that in general. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Without Judgment is another good example of Gene doing that too, and that is something that I made a note of. Loved that. So it was interesting early on. Like, I heard like, wow, these sections are cool. This is cool. That's cool. But then there were points throughout, listening to this album where I'm like, it kind of just feels like a stuff album, where it's like, yeah, here's stuff.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's good. Like, it's not just like, oh, generic, whatever, just skippable. It's like, yeah, this is some good stuff. It's just like, it just kind of like goes, and then that's it. But then there are some songs that stand out and have super duper sick stuff. Like I said, the whole band's performance is fantastic. The highlight for me is obviously Chuck's guitar work.
Yeah.
The guitar work on this album is phenomenal. Oh my God. Not only is the guitar work on this album very creative, but I feel like Chuck was so good at phrasing and almost singing with his guitar.
It's like, what this band's known for, really, I think.
Yeah, and it's like as if the guitar is a clean vocalist for the band.
Yeah, in a way, you could say that, yeah.
Like, with the way that those melodies are phrased, it's like he doesn't need to sing clean vocals. His guitar does that for him, and that's how good he was.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy that he was able to do that.
I mean, he's an icon for a reason, right? He's a legend for a reason, and this band is inspirational for reasons like that.
Exactly.
That's what it boils down to.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
So, one of the first notes I wrote, and this is funny, especially considering what I'm into, the start of the solo section into what comes right after in Perennial Quest sounds so Dream Theater. And like, just from my perspective as a big Dream Theater fan, if you listen to anything from like their first 3 albums or so, you'll see the vibe where it's just like they got this cool groove and the guitar just goes off. You look at something like the solo in like Yitzy Jam, for example, like that kind of vibe I got out of that. And I thought that was awesome. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love that kind of vibe. Also, the acoustic ending was really, really cool as well. I thought it was an effective way to end the epic, and I say that with quotations because it's only 8.5 or 8 to 8.5 minutes.
I consider that an epic.
It's
there. It's on the borderline, I guess.
It is a long song, but it's only like, it is, especially comparative to the rest of the tracks, it is the longest, and it is this big song. Obviously, you have that at the end.
I like how almost like tranquil it became at the end too.
Yeah.
Like, it just was so calming and peaceful, and just kind of rides that to the end and calmly fades out.
Exactly.
Very nice way to end the album.
Very, very well put together.
Yeah.
So it also does not feel like 8.5 minutes. Like, it just flies, and it's like, wow, like that was a big song, and it's over already. Like, and that's
a testament to good songwriting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. So there was a point where I really started liking this stretch of songs in the second half. Mainly starting, at first I thought it was like just from 1,000 Eyes through Crystal Mountain, then I thought, you know what? The whole second half of this album is just really good.
Misanthrope is really good too.
So, A Thousand Eyes, it's got this really cool section where you have like what almost sounds like this traditional chord progression. It might be some kind of 3-6-2-5 or something. I didn't look into it. And then the guitar is noodling on top of that. It's kind of short, but it's so cool when it happens. And then the riff right after that is super duper cool. And that's what I found a lot of that in this album where it's like, yeah, this groove is just sick. Or like, oh, that riff is really, really cool. Consistently. Crystal Mountain, probably my favorite track on the album. Every single section of the song is cool and interesting. You got more ride stuff from Gene Hoglan there. Cool melodic guitar lines. The solo is awesome. The acoustic stuff in the outro. It's just got the full package. I feel like it's just the number one for me on this record. And then I was thinking to myself, like, you know what? Yeah, the rest of it's really good too. Misanthrope, super awesome heavy hitter. Great placement to be after Crystal Mountain and before the big epic at the end. You got this cool chill section in the middle. Like, it was a consistently awesome song. Every time it came on, I thought, yeah, this is sick. Yeah, that's Misanthrope. This is sick. So, really, really like that. I think I want to say there was a point where I wrote there was like a best solo, but the thing is all the solos are cool. Like the one in the title track, I really like that one as well. It's another, the title track's another full package song. So there's a lot. Now, interesting you mentioned that about Empty Words. That's a song that I thought the intro was really cool, the soft intro, but for me, it kind of just became just like a stuff song.
It was like that for me at first, but the more I listened to it, the more it was like growing on me. I was noticing like each part was kind of just bringing something new to the table, and I was like, holy crap, this song's got some legs to it. It's got some meat in there.
Yeah, that one, it was good, but it didn't grow that much for me. Zero Tolerance, that was the one with the best solo. That one, every time that he played that solo, I thought, fuck, man, that one. Every solo is amazing, but that one, that's the one.
Yeah.
So that's a track that was kind of fun to sing along with, and the slow grooves are cool. It's just, there's a lot of really cool moments, but the thing with this album is that sometimes I would listen to it and I would kind of get a little bit lost in the sauce in a sense. But then sometimes I'm listening to it, I'm like, whoa, this is just awesome. Like, this is just kick-ass metal, you know? So there was that kind of dichotomy I was finding throughout the week with this album, listening to it.
Fair enough. Well, I think it's time to rate Symbolic. So I guess I'll go first. I mean, this is an iconic band, and I think everybody can agree that all of their albums, in one way or another, are iconic in and of themselves. This is no exception. For me, this 9-track album has 6 songs that are either good or really good. But there's 3 songs in this album that I think fall pretty flat. Those songs being Zero Tolerance, Sacred Serenity, and Without Judgment. Those 3 songs are not bad songs by any means, but again, they just kind of fall flat. They feel like they just come and go. There's not a lot of real substance there that was attracting me to them. And for that reason, the score for the album for me drops down a little bit to a bit of an unfortunate spot. I think this is a great album. I think this is a solid band, great band. And I wish I could have ranked it a little bit higher. But due to those 3 songs kind of anchoring the album a little bit, it's gonna land at a 7 for me. And I feel a little bit ashamed because I feel like Death is a band that should be on the Toe Tags list, and they might get on there someday, because we might have a chance to do them again on another anniversary review or whatever it may be. But for this album, it just didn't make the cut for me because there's just, it just lacked a little bit of strength. There's a few more good parts, might have boosted it over that finishing line, but that's the way my cookie crumbled this week.
Well, as someone who's basically like really kind of getting into this band with this album, I had a really good first impression of it, basically, in terms of that and the band. And it didn't take long for me to understand how important this band is to metal music. And I still feel that if you're a fan of any kind of metal, you'll enjoy this album.
Yeah.
Rating it was difficult because I was finding there were some songs that like, yeah, these are sick, these are amazing. But there were some where I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's solid, but it wasn't amazing. And then there's some where I'm just like, whatever, right? And then back and forth throughout the week, I was kind of on and off about these kinds of songs. But I feel like collectively, there's a lot of great moments. And it's one of those albums that even the songs that aren't the best are ones you could still generally enjoy. And even so, they're a lot better than a lot of albums in a similar category of like, yeah, it's just kind of like stuff. It's like, man, this is like pretty good stuff. But then on top of that, the best stuff, which is a good chunk of, is just incredible. So it is very close, but it is gonna get my toe tag.
Wow.
It was close, but you know what? Great record. Unfortunately, not gonna get on our 2 toe tags list.
Not gonna get on there. I feel like this band has albums that will make the cut. But I'm also now questioning albums that I might throw up on there. Maybe you won't, and that's an interesting thing. So I'm hoping we get a chance to cover something else, and I hope it's something that's on the
other side of their
earlier side of their discography. Because if we do Sound of Perseverance, I would probably give that I love that album.
Yeah.
I really like that one. I think you would like it too. So that could make the cut, but I don't know. It remains to be seen. I still think this is a great album. I mean, giving it a 7 is that's no harsh score by any means on this channel.
It's one full point away from toe tag.
Well, exactly. So good scores from both of us at this point still. But we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think of our scores, the review, if you agree with our scores or not, and let us know your favorite Death albums because we'd like to hear your thoughts. So let us know down below. Do you like the older school of Death sound? Do you like the progression of their music? Just sound off. Let us know all those nice juicy thoughts. And if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button, all that fun stuff. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I will see you guys in the next one.